Hello, everyone.
Here we go. We're good. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. As Ben has just introed, I'm Sara Vincent. I'm the Managing Director of Utiq UK. And Nikos?
I'm Nikos, forget my last name. I've been in Vodafone for 25 years and managing all our group commercial functions.
Fantastic. So we're here today to talk about a very unique partnership between telcos across Europe. If you've not heard yet of Utiq, hopefully most of you have, but if you've not, just to give you some context, we are a joint venture between the 4 largest telcos in Europe. In no particular order, that's Vodafone, Deutsche Telekom, Telefonica and Orange, who've come together to essentially bring a solution from using technology within the telco industry and applying that to digital advertising. We are essentially our ambition is to grow authenticated audiences and addressability at scale on the open web. And this does require a fundamental change to our industry, not only in the technical infrastructure, which is what we're all about, but also a mindset change. And as Ben just mentioned, that includes putting the user first, respecting consent and privacy to build a better digital advertising ecosystem. So putting the user first, we know we will see return on spend to the open web, which is the asset we're all trying to protect. And focusing on customer and respecting users' choices is something that telcos know all about. So Nikos, trust me, I'm a telco. Why should we?
So first of all, telco, it's essential to everyone's life. Like our service is all about trust. It's all about reliability. People cannot go. They can go out without their wallet. They cannot go out without a mobile, or they cannot survive without a fixed connection. So our service is all about reliability, and trust is core on the telco value. The other aspect is we're heavily regulated. GDPR runs, in our veins. I sleep with GDPR under my pillow, and I cannot do anything without thinking about protecting data. And sometimes, for us commercial people in telco, this is actually a problem. On the negative side, we're too restricted. So if there is one industry among let's say, banking and telco are the most trusted industries about data protection, data privacy, and GDPR. So I think that's core in our hearts. That's why we think we are well set for this venture.
So sleeping with GDPR under your pillow, that sounds uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's not so good, yeah.
As I said, we're on a mission to drive more responsible advertising.
Yeah.
What does more responsible digital advertising mean for Vodafone?
Yeah, Vodafone is a brand. We always said we want predictability on where the brand shows up. You don't want your brand to show up in strange places. I mean, it's a choice, and every brand needs to have this choice and need to be predictable where you show up. And the second thing is transparency of cost. You don't want to pay for viewability, which is not really pays back or has zero impact. So for me, these are the two aspects of why having an ecosystem where you can actually predict where your brand shows up and pay for what actually creates impact is super important.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Sounds good. So let's talk about the joint venture. Why did Vodafone decide to work with what are arguably probably your 3 biggest competitors to come together to provide a solution? And how did that collaboration all come about? And I imagine it was pretty easy and straightforward process.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of aspects on that. So first, technology was there. Some of the technology we used to build the ID platform in Vodafone was used for other reasons, so the technology was there. Then we always try to explore how can we play a bigger role in the digital marketing ecosystem. We try and fail in the past to do it ourselves alone, and we realize that it can only happen if we join forces with the other telcos. And we built this technology, this IP on how you tokenize the identity behind the mobile network and the fixed network. And then we agree with the other telcos to join forces, and we actually transfer this technology to Utiq, which is now our joint venture.
Okay. And I just point on that we're not talking about sharing of telco data. There is no data in the solution. So I guess that kind of takes out a whole area of competition and data sovereignty, etc. So, but the idea of collaboration is a really interesting one, and recognizing that this is a big movement and it will take a lot of power behind it. So that collaboration piece was absolutely key. So telcos have been considered actually for a long time. There's been a lot of telcos coming into the digital advertising ecosystem. Think about AT&T and Zander a while ago. So telcos have this reputation that potentially they could be the drivers of change. And why do you think that is? Is that scale, or do you think it's something else?
I think there are a couple of triggers that actually make that possible now. One is the ubiquitous coverage of high quality, high predictability networks, both on fixed and mobile. The availability of technology, as I told you before, the IP we built on a technology which was now available and easy to use, and the responsiveness of our networks, because when you go for digital marketing, you really need down to millisecond precision responsibly. So these are, for me, the three key elements that actually make that possible right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I am going to address the elephant in the room, because there are definitely some people in here who will be aware of telco partnerships and collaborations in the past, which haven't always been a bed of roses, let's say. So there's some history there. Why do you think that this is different? And what do you think is going to be that driving success for Utiq?
I think, again, we also tried and failed ourselves. And the breakthrough was telcos try to think differentiation through approaches or monetization of my first-party data. And that actually always created two problems. One, GDPR. There is no way to monetize telco first-party data. You cannot open it to advertisers, brands, or MarTech, AdTech technologies, because there is no way to do it in a GDPR-compliant way. So it was always blocked by our legal departments. And the second thing is, so we realized that practically we have an amazing asset, which is the identity, that we could actually use for all the ecosystem without exposing any of our first-party data. And the other thing is, we convince the three big European operators, our group CEOs, to understand the concept and commit to it. So now there is a lot of top-down commitment, which actually creates a lot of positive energy in the organizations to make things happen. In the previous attempt, you usually had, small startups in isolation of one telco trying to do something very vertical within that telco, subscale, GDPR, blocked by GDPR, and super hard to pick up any type of interest from the market.
And just a little bit plug here. There is we released a video last week where the four CEOs of the telcos actually came together and were talking about the commitment to Utiq. It's on my LinkedIn page if anyone's interested in that. So that's worth sharing. What about looking at more of a practical application of Utiq for Vodafone specifically? Like, we are obviously trying to solve a number of problems and challenges for brands and media owners. So there's obviously Vodafone being one of the largest advertisers in the UK. As a brand, you're spending in those paths. And then also as a brand, you have your own website. You are trying to drive engagement to your site, push your products, etc. So how do you think that this is working for you?
So I think, first of all, let me talk about the future. In the future, our view is that we will only work with publishers, MarTech, AdTech players who are Utiq enabled. So we will only use any ecosystem player who is Utiq enabled in the near future, when this is available everywhere. The key use cases are super personalization, because today we have a lot of first-party data, but we cannot really personalize a lot our experiences. Frequency capping, both on your own site, on third-party sites, but also on our own site. For example, today 50% of our traffic are our own customers, but they haven't logged in. So you cannot really recognize your own customers because they haven't logged in your assets. So having a 100% identifier, which is our own ID, with our own customers, you can immediately recognize the customer on our own sites, on our own apps, and use all your first-party data on your own assets, which means you don't expose them to third-party, to create amazing experiences for personalized offers, using all your AI, CVM systems to adapt the creative, the offer, and improve the efficiency of our own assets. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the word efficiency is obviously really key in all of this, because not only are we talking about a safer, consent-driven, privacy-first solution, but it also brings incredible efficiencies in your own media buying as well, which is a big saver as a brand. So independently, you're thinking about that. Do you have conversations with the other telcos in this respect as well? Like, are you sharing use cases across other partners?
Well, with the legal always being present,
yes, love
we
legal.
share what can be shared, but definitely we all agree we want to use it for our own assets. So it's not that we don't have a contract for that, but we all agree the intent is for all of us to use it for our own assets. We all agree we want to use it, our agencies need to make it like a prerequisite for the money we spend. And the most important thing, we are keen to push the ecosystem to join Utiq in all the markets we are launching. And by the way, we are inviting all the other operators to join. The fact that we are the 4 founders, that doesn't mean the platform is only going to use the 4 founders' identities. We are going to open it to all the operators. So that's the magic of this platform. We can have 100% reach and coverage.
Yeah, that's a good point. So just like for taking the UK as an example, Vodafone will be one of the shareholder telcos, and then we'll work with 3 or 4 non-shareholders. So the telcos to bring that coverage that we're looking for.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing.
All the operators in all markets will be invited to join through their identities. And we have a revenue share model. You have a revenue share model, which makes it very transparent, and huge incentive, because the investment for any operator to join is very small. Practically, it's a super high ROI business case for any operator.
Amazing. I'm getting a wave from Ben. So last question. Recognizing we have a mixed audience here between publishers, buyers, lots of different people representing the ad tech industry, what would be the one thing that you want them to take away from today?
I have 2 things. One,
2 things.
It will happen. Yeah, it takes a little bit more time to get through the GDPR. Our main barrier today on the time to market is not technical. It's more the legal GDPR, data privacy compliance among the different players. So it will happen 100%. But I will invite you, no matter where you are on the value chain, to use it sooner than later. Because as any new technology, the brands, advertisers, publishers, ad tech players who will understand how to use it first, they will get all the benefits of giving more efficiency to themselves or to the clients. So don't wait until it's 80% there. Jump to it immediately when it's launched.
Thank you. That's a great parting sentence. But also just to say that if you, we're also talking about a world today where 40% of the market is unaddressable. And so even with that respect, it's still, do not wait for that. We're not waiting for Google. We're in a problem right now where brands like Vodafone are underrepresented across some of the most affluent browsers. So I
think, in any market we launch with at least 2 operators, which means at least 40 to 50% coverage. So jump on it. That's good enough to jump, understand the technology. Yeah?
Amazing. Yes. Sorry, Ben. Your mic's not on.
No, Mike. Hi. This is fantastic. While you have the opportunity, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Dig deep. There must be something burning there. Well, thank you very much. Oh, we've got one here, of course. Here we go, young man.
Hello. Probably technical, but I was waiting to see if there's anyone from the industry who wanted to ask anything a bit more interesting. So you have a persistent identifier across multiple telcos. You have 4 founder telcos who sought merger approval from Brussels. How are you going to roll this out to an entire marketplace and not trip over some pretty significant antitrust and competition issues?
Yeah.
Very technical, sorry, legal question, very boring. So
as Nikos explained, the Utiq is a joint venture between the 4 telco networks, and then in each market that we launch in, we need to contract with the local networks, which will bring the coverage. So in a market, we want like 70 to 80% coverage. So that means we're now working with potentially one shareholder telco that's principal in that market, plus many others. So we're looking at a solution which is essentially powered by, today it's powered by 20 telcos. And as we roll that out globally, obviously that will grow, and we'll work with the principal telcos in each market. There's no limitation to joining, as Nikos said. Like, we would welcome any telco to join of any size. So it becomes very much of almost like it's just a collaborative effort. There is not one monopolistic entity.
Yeah, I think there is no competition issue because the way technology works, every telco, any telco in the world can join because the IP anonymizes the ID and cannot be reused by anyone else. And when the customer switches off, it disappears. There's no historical data, there is nothing. That's why it's not dependent on any local regulator or any, so that's why it's very open for any telco. You need to necessarily be the technical, I think on the Utiq side, there's more technical explanation on how it works. But that's the magic of it. You don't need you don't need a competition law. You don't get into this type of barriers in any market. And our plans, by the way, is to expand Utiq beyond Europe. Yeah.
Heard it here first.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. What a fantastic session.
We
welcome you back next year. I'm very keen to see how this progresses.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.